Hello, 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 and welcome to the CoronaCast comedy show. If this is your first time tuning in, this is a show where I, stand-up comedian Deliso Chaponda, who has no audience, instead entertains you, the people of YouTube, the people of Facebook, the people of Twitch. I've had a very good week actually, because this weekend I did a bunch of drive-in shows. And I had no idea how much I missed being on a stage in front of people. So if you're not aware how these works is, I went up on stage. These are all organized by Mark Watson, who's a brilliant comedian. But I went up on stage, and the entire field was filled with people in cars. And you couldn't really hear them laugh, but they would hoot if they found a joke funny. And comedians are hardcore addicts. Like, I'm a hardcore addict who needs applause and laughter, and I've been surviving the last few months without any of it, without the laughter I need to hear, without the validation, I felt so good. So I had a wonderful weekend. I did 4 of these drive-in shows, and it also gives me hope, because let's say that Corona has a resurgence and it drags on longer and longer. It makes one wonder, what will I do? How will I survive? But things like these drive-in shows give me hope. I also did one of my, I don't know if you people know I do this, but I do a thing where people can hire me and we go for a comedy walk. And 3 people hired me to go for a walk with them around Manchester and tell them jokes. And that one was a bit more of a shambles than the drive-in show, because one of them was into it, and I think 2 of them had just been dragged along so that it didn't get awkward, and it was more awkward because those 2 people really didn't want to be here. So anyway, I've had a fabulous show, fabulous weekend, and I am back with the CoronaCast comedy show. It's going to be a bit shorter today, because at 8 o'clock I am doing another show called the HMS Unprecedented, which you can go check out as well. And that one's free. It's a bit of like a theme show, pretending like it's comedians on the ocean, something like that. I'm not even sure. I don't even know how they persuaded a black person to do anything to do with getting on a ship and being on the ocean, because that didn't work out for us that well historically, did it? You know? But either way, that's what I'm going to be doing. So this show on the CoronaCast will probably be around 25 minutes, something like that, and then I'm going to go get ready and do the HMS Unprecedented at 8 p.m. So without further ado, let's get started. Hello to the people in Twitch. Hello to Marlene and Dadank Raccoon. Hello to all the people on Facebook. Hello, Sam Marks. Oh, you love the red hoodie? This is actually a hoodie from a festival which I did in Nairobi, Kenya. Absolutely great. Michael Pegg says, have I ever thought of playing Donkey in Shrek's UK tour? I am very bad at voice impressions. So what you've got to understand is Donkey was originated by Eddie Murphy, who's a magnificent comedian, but also is brilliant at voices. It's the same way that, you know, Robin Williams, Jim Carrey, Eddie Murphy, they are impressionists extraordinaire. And unless you've got that skill and talent, you'd be a terrible donkey. So I'd actually be a terrible donkey because I cannot do all the vocal stuff which is required. But I would love to be in Shrek, of course. Okay, excellent and great, Sam Marks. Thank you for coming to the Warwick show on Friday, because that is indeed my next drive-in show. But without further ado, let's take a look at the news. So first thing we got to talk about is in the UK, there have been masked protests. So not protests of people wearing masks, protest against wearing masks by people who think being told to put on masks on trains and in shops is a way of the government controlling us and brainwashing us. And they are clearly willing to look like a total twat. Because as you can see in this image, this man has felt the way that he can show that he doesn't like masks is he's wearing one and then he's cutting out the nose and the mouth to show that you can't control him. Yes, the government can't control you, but they can willingly make you look like a total twat. It looks like you're wearing women's underwear, mate. I don't know what do you think you look defiant in that picture? You look like the world's biggest idiot. Well, either way, this fellow and a bunch of other people tried to drum up support and say, we don't want to wear masks, we ain't gonna wear masks, this is all nonsense, and they did not find as much support as they thought they wanted to, okay? So in London, on Hyde Park, right, they had only 100 people show up. Like 100 people is your protest, 100 people is an African picnic, right? 100 people is an Indian wedding. No, Indian wedding is 200 people. Like that 100 people is the most you could get in your protest. What a pathetic excuse for a protest. But it's also, this thing is like, you are protesting things which are suggested, which are good for your health, right? It's like protesting, hey, I'm not going to put on seatbelts. You can't control me. You can't control me. Hey, it's a very absurd thing to do. It's an example which people were talking about is, during the Blitz, Second World War, when the Germans were bombing the UK, there was instructions that people got to turn off their lights at night, so that when the planes are flying over, they don't see the lights, because the lights tell them that's where people are, let's bomb them. And even in such an extreme situation, there were people who refused to put their lights on. They're off. There were people who said, no, you can't control me. And I always don't understand. There's some people who would rather express their freedom than safeguard their lives. Now, it's a different thing, of course, when people just don't believe it, right? So there's some people who say that you are trying to control me. And I think they're total idiots, because I don't understand what they think the government is going to do, right? What do they think? If the government want to control you, right, instead of sending the army to force you to do stuff, or instead of making your taxes cripplingly high, thus destroying all possibility of social mobility, or hundreds of the economic and social ways in which a government can crush and control you, they're going to say, nah, forget all of that, right? Forget all that stuff which could actually control them. Instead, let's make them wear masks, because that will give us the real power. The real power is to make the populace wear masks, because then they can't speak, because they're muzzled. Because there are actually people saying the mask is a muzzle. What, you can't be heard over the mask? I don't know how weak your voice is. My voice can project through the mask, right? But that's a lot of the people who believe it's a controlling thing. Then there are the other people who just distrust it. They say masks don't actually help. Masks don't actually help. We discussed this, and they say the WHO is wrong that face masks help. The World Health Organization, and you're Barry from Bradford, right? And you're like, yeah, they're doctors and scientists, and they've been studying this for years, but I just know inside of me that they are talking nonsense. Therefore, I'm going to cut out this mouth and look like a twat, right? And the other thing I think which is really interesting about this is that one of the ways that people point out that they're clearly lying and they're trying to control us is that they keep changing their minds, right? At the beginning, they said masks don't really help, and then as things keep going, they're like, masks actually do help, and they've changed their mind. But don't you understand that's what science is, right? The difference between scientific investigation and a belief is a belief, it's true, nothing's going to change your mind. No amount of evidence can be pointed at you which is going to make your mind. But scientific investigation means you have a theory. So early on, they had a theory. They were like, if it's like the common cold, for example, masks don't really help you. And then they start studying, and then they start investigating, and then they realize that actually it is protecting people. So they say it's a good idea. It's an evolving idea of what is right and wrong, as opposed to you who've decided that you are right. But I guess they feel happy, if anything, running around with no mask on their face. So at least they're cheering themselves up. But the only thing which is frustrating about it is we are all living in the world together. We are all driving in the car together. So if you're an idiot, it affects me. It's like we're all in a car together. and you want to shit in the back, right? You want to defecate in the back seat, but we're all going to smell it. We're all going to have to deal with the consequences. So it's a little bit frustrating for those of us, such as I, who are wanting the numbers to keep going down so that I will be allowed to work again. I mean, I'm allowed now. Driving is fabulous, but live audience would be even better. Anyway, so that's that. Let's keep going. Okay. Oops. Where's my coffee? Where is my coffee? Okay, let me take a look at what people are saying. Let's take a look. Oh, I've got some people disagreeing with me. Of course. Let's see what people are saying. Hello from the Philippines, Escudero, Trozo, Cathius, Peter. I think you might be the furthest I've had. You might be the furthest audience. Wait, is Philippines further from the UK than Malaysia? I'm not sure if Malaysia is the furthest I've had, but you're very welcome, watching from very far away. Very good to have you here. Jacqueline Boylan, I thought I wasn't going to be on tonight because I'm doing the HMS Unprecedented, but then I realized it's at 8 p.m., so I could do a short little 30-minute stream and then go on to the HMS Unprecedented. Oh, oops, spoiler of what's coming next. Let's go back to these masked people. Okay, the protest is idiotic, says Catherine Sophia. It's not government control, it's for the safety of the vulnerable. Exactly, most people actually probably would be fine, right? So if you're healthy, young, and you go out and you don't wear a mask and you get the coronavirus, you might be ill for 2 days, but then you might cough near somebody old or somebody who's got an asthmatic condition or something like that. Next thing, you're the reason they die. It's not. Also, how uncomfortable are your masks? I wore a mask all the way on a train down to London and a train back just before the drive-in shows, and it's a little uncomfortable, but it's not that uncomfortable. I'm like, is that the extreme of discomfort for you, having a little bit of cloth in front of your face? Okay, let's keep going. Oh, Michael Pegg wants to know, how are you able to go on a walk with me? Well, it's right now it's only available for people in Manchester, and I probably will extend it to Liverpool and places a little close to me. But essentially, you just go on my website, africancomedian.com, if you want to go on a comedy walk, and you hire me to go on a comedy walk. Now, it's not really worth it to do it as one person because of the amount it costs. So I thought 5 people makes sense, because then each of you aren't paying that much, and then together you do it. But hey, this rich family wanted to do it, so I did it with 3 people. So anyway, that's entirely how it works. Check out africancomedian.com if you want details. Okay, let's keep going. Let's see. Yes, Sam Marks, it was initially the WHO who advised that masks weren't helpful because they were operating on previous data based on SARS, which is a similar disease. And then they looked, and the interesting thing is actually because this is less detectable, and you can, oh, this isn't funny, but anyway, I read a lot of this stuff because my brother's infectious diseases, and based on SARS, they thought masks don't help. And then further investigation, as scientists do, made them realize, no, actually with this one, masks do help. So let's keep going. Okay. Mark Carsa, I'm glad you are laughing and watching the subtitles. Hello, Catherine Sophia. I will mention your other comments for sure. Okay, let's keep going. From Tanzania, how are you doing? One of my best friends, Elsa Akuze, lives in Tanzania and is a social commentator over there in the newspapers and stuff. So I will definitely come to a show in Tanzania, if only for an excuse to visit my childhood friend. Okay, here we go. Let us keep going, ladies and gentlemen, with the next story, which I think we all knew was going to come up. Kanye West. Okay, so Kanye West announced on the 4th of July that he wanted to run for the American presidency, and then yesterday he did a rally. Or maybe it was the day before, but he did a rally, okay? And this has been a very bizarre thing that he's been running. First of all, his party is called the birthday party, right? The birthday party, because you're going to feel like it's your birthday. But the longer he goes, I realize that it's actually a birthday party, and it's probably more like a 5th birthday party, because my 6-year-old niece talks more sense than he's talking. Now, anytime I do jokes about him, a lot of people are like, hey, you're making fun of Kanye. He's clearly crazy. He clearly needs help, right? But just because you are crazy, it does not give you an excuse to be a jackass, right? You can be crazy and a dick. You can be crazy and a nice person. I have crazy friends. I have lots of crazy friends. Lots of comedians are crazy, right? I have crazy friends who clearly just harm themselves. And also, this man is got a big reach. He's a multi-millionaire, was a billionaire for a few weeks. I don't think we need to feel sorry for him. I mean, I don't necessarily. I'm going to talk about this because it's very worrying, the effect he could have. Because he's a nutter, right? He's a bit nuts. But him running for president, if it convinces enough idiots to vote for him, can have very unpredictable effects. And we've got to take this stuff seriously, because Trump was a joke. Trump was a joke. We all made fun of him when he announced it. And look what happened. I always say this, and I'll say this one more time. I don't think America can be trusted with their own elections, right? Because unfortunately, they've got nuclear bombs. They've got this gigantic economy which ripples and affects the world. The whole world needs to have a say. I wish that Kanye was running to be president of some island with a population of 2,000. Then we could just laugh, right? But it's very bizarre. Okay, so these are a few things which happened at his rally. Okay? Kanye West's rally just started ranting and raving. He had shaved 2020 into his hair, right? And I actually think this is a good idea. I think all of the American candidates should shave their slogans into their hair. So like Joe Biden can shave our best days lie ahead into his hair, right? And Trump could shape whatever that thing is on top of his head into keep America great, right? Because I think that's his slogan, right? But his ranting got more and more bizarre, okay? At one point, he started weeping. As you can see in the man is weeping because he realized that his parents almost aborted him, right? I don't know what... You know who I actually feel sorry for? I feel sorry for Kim. I feel sorry for Kim Kardashian. I can't believe I'm saying this. I remember when Kim Kardashian and Kanye were getting married. I remember a lot of us were looking at the two of them and I was saying, wow, that's good for her, not so good for him. I apologize. With hindsight, with hindsight, we thought that the Kardashians were the crazy ones and Kanye was going in. Right now, I can't believe I'm saying this, but the Kardashians are the voice of reason and the ones who we are relying on to talk Kanye down. But then, he refused to use a microphone, right? There were microphones at the venue, but he didn't want any microphone to I don't know, pervert his voice. Maybe it's, I don't understand what's going on. I can't even make jokes. This is what frustrates me. It's so absurd that there is no gag that I can write that is funnier than saying what actually happened. And I always, in these situations, say, don't you have a friend? Don't you have a friend who can just say, dude, maybe not? You know what I mean? It's like when they're reality shows. You know when people audition for reality shows and they're absolutely terrible? You always are like, didn't you have a friend who said, nah? Right? Before I went for Britain's Got Talent, I told friends of mine on the phone, I'm going to go do an audition. And I guarantee you, if I was terrible, one of them would have said, Deliso, maybe not. Right? Maybe not. Why don't you just come do your jokes for us in the front room? He shouldn't be running. He should just be going to parties and doing his campaign speeches. Because that's not a good look. I mean, I love his music, but what the hell are you doing, Kanye? Anyway, let's keep going. Finally, this is the thing which has pissed people off most. In his ranting and raving, he suggested that Harriet Tubman never actually freed slaves. She just had the slaves go for other white people. So, if you don't know Harriet Tubman, she is a civil rights hero. She's an escaped slave who didn't just rest on... If I had, escaped a slave plantation and I had got to freedom, I think I'll just enjoy it, right? But she was so inspirational that she dedicated the rest of her life to helping other slaves get out. And this is who he decides to disparage. I don't know what you're doing. I don't know what you're doing, man. I mean, you look, Taylor Swift, when you went on stage, grabbed the microphone from her and shit on her moment, that was a dick move, right? But it was Taylor Swift, so people say so. But like somebody who risked capture to save people's lives, Kanye, what you doing? You need to listen to your own lyrics, right? You need to go back. You need to go back to College Dropout and listen to your own lyrics. They be asking us questions, harass you. He's turned against himself. Gotta move on. I can't even make jokes. I've gone crazy, right? Okay, before we go on to the next thing, let me see what people are saying in the chat. Also, just put a comment to let me know that people are still here. I'm not sure if the settings are right today. Okay, hello. Michael Ping, glad you're enjoying the show. Oh, Catherine Sophia, you're from the UK and America was a country you wanted to emigrate to. Well, I am glad you're still here and hopefully at some point you will be able to immigrate to. Okay, let's keep going. Let's see how we're doing. Catherine Sophia says, yes, America is a joke right now. But, you know, hopefully that will change soon. Yes, Catherine Sophia, you have a master's in psychology and his behavior is worrying yet amusing. And this is the thing about, but I'll tell you the thing is, do you remember when Charlie Sheen started ranting and raving, right? And he was ranting and raving about tiger blood and stuff like that. It was a very similar situation, but really, he wasn't hurting anyone but himself, right? The ripples of him ranting and raving about tiger's blood and, you know, it was actually kind of a harmless sideshow which we were laughing at, and then his family made sure that he got the help he needed, and it was fine, right? But it's very different when someone is dealing with a political situation, because you're dealing with live ammunition, and I don't trust the Americans. They can vote anyone. They can vote anyone. We could have a Caligula situation. Don't trust Americans. Abiola Olangunju, I'm glad you have watched my specials. For anyone who's not watched my specials, What the African Said, alas, is no longer available for free on YouTube because I actually should not have been putting it out for free, but you can find it either on Amazon Prime or on Next Up, or you can order the DVD on eBay or Facebook or wherever. It's everywhere. And Blah Blah Blacklist is on YouTube right now for free. Though it probably shouldn't be. I should take it down. I'm a bad businessman. And Lou Boncher, you know it and you are very sad. Well, I hope things get better, Lou. I hope so. And part of the reason I say I think America needs to have some kind of filter, because right now they have faith in democracy. So the idea is anybody can run, and they believe that enough people will eliminate all the crazy people or the stupid people or the racist people, and they will elect the best person just by numbers, okay? But I think it's shown, time has shown, that maybe that may have been the case once upon a time, but we can no longer trust the American populace to vote, right? So I think they should still be allowed to vote, but people need to answer some basic questionnaire to make sure that their mind is not, that they can be trusted with the responsibility, like an examination before you could be on the ballot. Is that too much to ask? Just like 20 questions. Like, you know, what is gravity? What is the Senate? Right? How is a law made? There's even a song to help them. I'm just a bill. You know, just ask them basic questions, right? What is a human being? Just to get out the truly bonkers people who could cause the apocalypse. And I say this because at present in America, anybody can run. And I found some of the craziest people who have run. Now, none of them have won so far, But these are some of the people who have run. So you can see the image right now this is a guy who actually ran. Okay? His name is, I've forgotten his name. I have all his platform here, but I didn't. You can see he looks like a nutter, right? But this guy, whose name, unfortunately, I didn't do the copy and paste right, so I'm not sure what his name is. If any of you know who he is, you can let us all know his name. But this guy ran for government, and if elected, he promised to enact a law that everybody in America should brush their teeth. Now, this is not a bad idea. Everybody should brush their teeth. That's why he's holding a giant toothbrush, okay? And then he also promised to devote research funding to time travel so that he could go back in time and he could kill Adolf Hitler. Now, dude, I hate to tell you this, Mr. Crazy Man. You do not understand how it works, okay? There are 3 possible versions of time travel, right? Version number 1, my friend, you create your time travel device. You go back in time, you kill Adolf Hitler, and now you're in a branched off reality. You're in an alternate reality where there is no Hitler. So it doesn't actually affect us, right? Those of us who you leave behind, we're still going to be in this Hitler included version of history. Version number 2, you go back in time to kill Hitler with your giant toothbrush. You whack him over the head with your giant toothbrush. But there is the law of historical attrition. This is another possibility, that you kill Hitler, but history still wants to be Hitler. No, history still wants to happen. And what you do does not actually make a difference. This is the theory that time moves like an ocean. Time moves like a river. And all you would do by removing Hitler is maybe you're removing a stone, but then maybe Goebbels ends up being the Hitler. Maybe another person ends up being the Hitler. You do not cause dramatic change. That's another possibility. And then the final possibility is maybe you go back, you whack Hitler over with the head, right? And then there's the butterfly effect. And maybe something worth happens, right? Horrible things happen because of Hitler, but we've sort of time has moved on. You come back to the future and you just find a wasteland ruled by robots or something like that. So all I'm saying is be careful with your time traveling device. Not that I believe that you would make a time traveling device with that silly thing on your head, but just in case you do, be very careful when you play with the timelines. Okay, let's keep going. The only thing which he did promise, which I think was a positive and wonderful thing. There it is. Jacqueline Boylan and BJ have found his name. His name was Vermin Supreme. And it's also entirely possible maybe he's not crazy, he's just doing it for a joke, which I endorse, and I appreciate people who do things as jokes. In the UK, there was a person running for Prime Minister who was Lord Buckethead. And he was almost doing it satirically to say that this is a crazy situation, Brexit is ridiculous, all the things which you're trying to do are ridiculous, so it makes sense to have a ridiculous candidate. So perhaps he was possibly doing the same sort of thing. Okay, that's Vermin Supreme. Other people, there's a guy called Gabriel Hrim. Now, this guy was a guy who believed in aliens, right? He was part of the Los Angeles Interplanetary Study Group, and he tried to commute with aliens with music. He used to send them messages, all sorts of things like that. And he tried to become president. Only thing he wanted was to become president so that he could get the secret Roswell files and he could release them to everybody and prove that they were aliens. But the only thing that I don't understand about that is, maybe if you didn't know there were aliens, you would want to see the Roswell files. But he seems to already know they're aliens. So what is he actually going to find out by looking at them? Okay? And then the weirdest person who I found who actually ran for president in 2012 is a guy who calls himself Jonathan Albert the Impaler. And he is a vampire. Well, he says he's a vampire and he drinks blood, but he only drinks the blood of women because women are beautiful. They have such beautiful necks and arms. This is the kind of perv who is running. Is it too much to ask that all the people running for American presidency, in fact all presidencies, do a little basic general knowledge quiz, right? We could even turn it into, instead of having a debate, have a quiz. No more debate. Because in debates, they don't even debate each other. They just say, this is what I believe, this is what I believe. They don't actually debate. A debate is counterpoints and counterpoints. The debates are shit. Replace all American debates with a quiz. You have to get at least 80% or you get kicked out. Basic questions about how a government works, what's the purpose of a government, and just like basic human questions. Okay, let's keep going. I need to wrap up pretty quickly because the other show is very soon. In fact, the other show is so soon that I will do the other jokes tomorrow. So I will start tomorrow's Corona Cast with the jokes about Instagram, which I was going to do, which are hopefully funny. And also tomorrow's episode, I think, will be one of those ones, which is jokes from audience suggestions. So in the morning on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, there will be a little link saying, suggest subjects for me to make funny, and I will make them funny. Other than that, I am on my way to the HMS Unprecedented. You can, I think it's probably hmsunprecedented.com. If you want to check that out, I'll be there in 30 minutes. I don't know if it's a good show. I don't know if it's a bad show. I just agreed because it's a friend of mine. So come see this shambolic or magnificently genius show if you're looking for more comedy tonight. It's not just me, it's me and a few other comedians. Okay? Ciao. Adios.